Planet 1, fire.
You're listening to the 8-Bit and Retro Podcast, your bridge into the elite gaming world.
Welcome back to the 8-Bit and Retro Podcast. I do not have Ian selected correctly. There he is. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh. I think we're good. I think we're finally live. A lot of technical difficulties there. Apologies, guys.
We're good.
We're here. We made it.
We're here.
We made it to Retro Gaming Live TV.
I excite.
Welcome everyone from chat. Thanks for being here, hanging out with us. This is the most people that have ever listened to our podcast in the history of all time at one time.
At the same time.
At the same time.
At the same time.
It's a world record, if you will. Thanks to all the Retro Gaming Live TV staff for helping me sort that out. I can't actually have the chat up while I have Ian's video up, so I can't look in there. But
I can.
Yeah, he can. Well, no, I can have the Twitch chat up. I was in another Retro Gaming chat thing, so I could get them. Anyways, welcome back to the podcast. This is our first one live, so we're sort of unsure what it's going to be like for a live podcast. So we're just gonna do a topic for this week, and we're gonna do Sans guest, and hopefully bring on a guest for another episode later on, which is sort of
never let him see you sweat, Steve.
Oh, I'm so sweaty. Look at. I'm so sweaty. I'm so Inubito, welcome in.
Vito boy.
Well, first off, I want to thank or I want to congratulate Ian on hitting Twitch partner. That's an incredible feat. Congratulations. 3 years of blood, sweat, and tears, literally, for Ninja Gaiden to get to partner.
Yeah, there's 3 years of getting kicked in between the legs over and over again by a 30-year-old game. Worth it.
Also, congrats to Yelsrake for making Twitch partner as well very recently, playing Marble Madness 23,000 times to get partner. Who knew? Incredible feat. Congratulations to you as well.
Yeah, congrats to him. Also, I think our partner, we clicked the invite to the partner program on the same week. Although my partner acceptance email was stuck in my spam inbox for like 2 weeks.
I heard about that.
That's kind of funny.
I bring up that also, to congratulate Ian and Yells, of course. But our topic for this week is how Twitch relates to speedrunning. And so I wanted to start with just talking about how things kind of started and where I came into speedrunning, and like how it's evolved over time. So when I first started speedrunning, Twitch was around, but it was still really small as far as like retro streaming was concerned. So most of the runs were uploaded offline to Speed Demo's archive, or Twin Galaxies, or whatever the case is. And speedrun.com was not live yet, but it came pretty soon after I started speedrunning. And that site, Speedrun.com, has kind of shaped, along with GDQ, completely shaped the landscape of how speedrunning is perceived, really, right? It used to be about, at least from my perspective, it was about seeing how far we could push the games and who had the records and sort of the competitiveness of trying to beat the other guy's record, seeing his technologies and kind of pushing the games that way. And now it's more of a community-driven thing where everyone kind of collaborates and adds in little things and pushes the games that way. And it's more about how many runners can we get with great times as opposed to how many times can we break the world record, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's been my experience with Ninja Gaiden for sure, which is the game that I run. If you don't know, there's a little Ryu guy here. Is it here? Is it here? Or is it here? Anyway.
The other side, yeah.
He squish his head. Anyway, yeah. So like all of the things I do in the run, or have learned, or have talked about, it's all other people. I see Edo in chat here. He came up with a new quick kill for Basker, been using that. Brought some other things to my attention, and then like in the Ninja Gaiden Discord, people were like, I found this, or like, have you messed with this, or has anyone done this? And like, a world record in that game would be the culmination of like all of that, right? Regardless of who's pushing the buttons. That's almost like secondary in a way.
Yeah, and so I think we sort of come from two different eras, really. I mean, I've always been in the camp of trying to sort of Arcus like. I want to see where my boundaries are, see in comparison to others, right? And I have a competitive nature about me. I like to compete at things, and so that aspect of speedrunning really intrigues me. But it feels like I've seen a lot of Twitter posts and Reddit posts and all kinds of other stuff about what's being called world record culture, where some people feel like if you like to go for a world record, you're attacking someone if you're taking something away from them. And I can understand how someone might feel that way if they put years of their life into a game and then somebody comes and takes their record away. That's not a good feeling. It's happened to me and it's not a good feeling, but it's just part of speedrunning, right? Like,
Yeah, records, all records are meant to be broken. The only records you can't break are the ones that you can tie, which is still a world record. You're just tying it. But that's just how it goes. There are no unbreakable world records. The only ones you can't break are the ones you can only tie.
thank you for that raid, L Lyra SRL for I appreciate that, and thank you for gifting a sub to Virus Returns L Rock. Yeah,
I just
so
want to say, enemy said, by the way, what's up? No one owns a record; you just rent them.
pretty
It's a
much
rental.
that's pretty much the truth. So for me, speedrunning has always been about, for me, the journey, trying to see my own limits, pushing myself to hit boundaries that other people create, try to break their records or go beyond what they have gone on the NES. That's important to me, and that's what I like to get out of it. It's not necessarily about showing that to everybody. It's more of my own personal journey. But I feel like
Sure.
guys like myself are really rare nowadays. Pretty much almost anyone who's streaming or going for a record, or like yourself, is pretty much streaming, right? Like that's the go-to vehicle for that. If you're going to be a speedrunner and you're going to get to an elite level and you're going to try to break records of AAA games or whatever, you're going to stream it because it's monetizable, right? And so I want to just kind of touch on the relationship between those two things. I don't think you started off thinking I'm going to be a Twitch partner 3 years ago, right?
Oh, no way. I mean, I didn't think that I was going to be doing Ninja Gaiden world record attempts or even a top 10, or I mean 20 was a huge deal, to break top 20 for me at the time. But I mean, we're coming from different backgrounds here, but I'm seeing some overlaps too. Like a lot of people come in my chat and be like, "Oh, you're gunning for Arcus, huh?" I mean, only in the regard that we have both played the same game and are trying to better the time. But at the end of the day, I'm running against my splits. I'm competing against myself, and the only reason I'm continuing to run the game is because I see that the time is there. Like realistically, like it can be done. I see it, and it's not about like being better than anyone. It's more about like I want to do it because I see that it's possible, and I want to do it because I think I can or I think it's possible. So there it's different, but there is similarities between what you're talking about, like where there's this sort of a more isolative perspective. Isolative is not a fuck. Oop, can I curse here? Did I just drop a bomb?
We get three per year.
All right. That's the one strike.
No, I hear what you're saying. Like you're trying to you're going for the record because you improved slowly over time, and that made sense. You just kept setting small goals of top 20, top 19, top 18, etc. until you got to a point where you're like, wow, I could really get into the top three, and then you got the top three, and you're like, wow, I could really get into the top two, and now you're two, and so you're like,
Yeah.
and I think that you are the personification of what I think the new age world record people are like, and I think that's awesome. Long journey, lots of PBs, lots of celebration, lots of Twitch growth. That's perfect. That's a perfect example of that. And I think some people that I've talked with or that have talked with me, they want to go straight in and go for a AAA game and break the world record. in like a month and then get a bunch of Twitch follows and
It's not worth
be a legend and,
not
and,
worth
and be a Twitch partner. And it just doesn't work like that. You know, you have to grow it over time. You have to stream consistently. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into speed running. But I'm
Yeah, a lot
happy.
of other stuff. I want to say also that like there's that you mentioned that misconception. Like, I mean, I've seen people get world records in AAA, super competitive AAA games like Mega Man X, Castlevania, and they're just not interested in sort of pushing their channel in that way, or haven't seen you know tremendous growth or whatever. So it's not like get world record or get close to world record and success. There's like all this other stuff that goes into like providing content for people and creating value in your channel and like fostering just like a cool place for people to hang out. I conversely, I know a lot of channels who aren't even close to world record or even top 10 and have huge amounts of traffic because they invest tons of time into creating value in a place for people to hang out, and that's super important if that's what you want to do. If you have no interest in that, there's the other side of offline attempts, which many people say is much easier. It's much easier to achieve your goals with less distraction, and that's totally valid too.
Yeah, I think it's and I want to say this before I go on any further, is I'm very happy that speedrunning has grown and there's more people doing it, and I'm totally fine with any way that anyone wants to speedrun. That's the way that the community has decided it's going to be. You know, you can make your own boards and your own categories, and you can go for PBs or do whatever you want to do, and it's a very open space for anyone to come in and be there. The part of it that I like is seeing the very best players that have the very best times or the very best scores and trying to reach that goal, reach the same place as them. That's the most fulfilling thing for me. So I think the thing that I get asked the most, very recently, the last year or so, when people find out about my books or my world records or whatever stuff that I've done, they're like, "Well, how come you don't have hundreds of Twitch follows, and how come you don't have a monetized Twitch stream?" You know, and it's interesting to me to think about how those things relate in people's head. Like, if you're good at something, if you're good at games, then automatically you're going to be a successful Twitch streamer. And that's the whole point of this topic, is just because you're really, really good at video games doesn't mean that you can be a successful Twitch streamer. And it also doesn't mean that you want to be a successful Twitch streamer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
There's also like it's a similar topic, but I think a lot of people have this misconception like get a run into a GDQ marathon or some high profile marathon, ESA equals famous equals a successful Twitch channel, and that doesn't work that way at all. That's just not how it goes.
no, and it can, but you generally, those that get that bump, they call it the GDQ bump or whatever, already have a good base, a good channel,
Right,
good
right. They already
content.
have community behind
Right.
them.
And so when they get that bump and people go check them out, they see that community and they see that content and they want to stay. But if you're providing content that's very low level or it's not where it should be, you're not going to get a bump from that or a world record or whatever. It doesn't really matter what you do. I guess the point is that your content doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you being a successful Twitch streamer. For the most part, it's a small portion of it, yes, but it's really all about yourself and how much time you put into it, and how entertaining you make it, and how you grow your community, and how you publish that and market that. And for me, I'm always doing so many other things that are more fulfilling to me. You know, I have a family. I don't have as much time to stream 5 days a week like yourself, and 4 or 5, 8 hours a day just doesn't work for me. I've done that. I've been down that road, and it just didn't work out for my life. I like to stream every now and then when I feel the urge to stream. I'm doing some Monday streams with a friend, and that's fun. I like it. But for the most part, I'm either writing books or doing this podcast or doing offline record stuff or playing NES games. So that's more fulfilling to me. So for those out there that ask me why I'm not a Twitch partner like Ian, It's because I don't choose to go for that. I don't want to spend my time for the most part trying to do that, because I don't
Yeah.
think that I want to. I mean,
I don't blame you. And
uh,
to be totally transparent, like I think a lot of people think, oh, you stream, what do? You hit go live, start stream, press some buttons, and like that's what you do with your life, right? Like
no.
no.
Mm.
No, it's so I'm buried in back end stuff. I'll never be able to catch up with all the things that I have to do to make the stream successful and keep it growing and changing. It's just nonstop extremely time consuming things. You're constantly creating, whether it be emotes or things with your layout or additions to your stream or redemptions. It's just nonstop. And all of these things take time, like a lot of time. And like, you know, at the hobby level, like a couple of hours or 3 hours is very time consuming, right? But when we're talking about like an entire day, like 8, 9 hours, um, that I would say that that's work. I would call that extremely time consuming and tedious work. So that if anybody wondered, there's so many other things that go into the stream besides just like, okay, I hit live and I play game lazily on my couch. That's not what it is at all.
Absolutely. So I know a lot of the streamers in the chat right now know this, and they've experienced this, but just getting to affiliate. I recently got to affiliate. I think early this year, and God, there was just so many things to do, like emotes and badges, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
spent like 2 weeks doing all that stuff. I changed it like 4 times, and that's just for like a low level, thing. I can't even imagine what you do for partner. Have tier 3 stuff, and you're doing guitar shreds and all this crazy stuff. So, for when I what I'm getting at with this topic is speedrunning is so great because you get out of it what you put into it, and there's a lot of different things that you can take out of it. I choose to take out the competitive portion of it, seeing how the games are pushed, trying to inject into the community knowledge, and also trying to push the games farther than they've ever been before. Because right now, we've pushed the games so much farther than they were even 2 years ago. And I want to continue to inject into that community and get the NES games as far as they can go, from a knowledge perspective. And then I want to test my own skill against those NES runners. That's what I like. Ian likes to hang out with people, and chat with them, and he created this awesome community. And while also he really likes Ninja Gaiden and wanted to play that. And so just his journey over time has gotten him to world record, but that was never the original intention. Whereas like
No,
I'm
no.
sort of the opposite, right? Like my intention is always to go for a record if I play a game. Like if I speedrun a game, I want to go for a record. I don't really go for a PB or something like that. I try to go for the record. But that's not where you went,
Yeah,
right?
well, I mean, it started super, super, super humble, super hobby, like ghetto status. Like originally, it was just like me and my friend. His name's Mike. We were trying to beat Ninja Gaiden casually, and man, it took us like I don't know, like 3 days of hours each. I don't know, 2 or 3 hours of 3 days, and then when we finally did beat it, like it felt like luck. So at this point, I was at least aware of speed running, and I was like, what does a speed run look like? I'll bet there's some easier ways to do things, and of course there were. And like I started with those things, and then I just wanted to learn more and more and more. And then I'll tell you what I used to do. I used to point Facebook, it came up with this go live function for your phone, and I would have my cell phone and I'd point it at my screen and like capture uh like PB attempts. Like that's what I would do for a while. And yeah, the time just got faster and faster. I got more and more um addicted, quite frankly, to bettering my time. The feeling of getting a new personal best was like really addictive. And here we are now.
Yeah, I've known Ian since the phone streaming days. And so
Yeah, yeah.
he has literally grown from streaming on his phone, being able to beat Ninja Gaiden once, to second in the world, a third of a second away from the world record over 3 years. and like I said, that's an incredible feat, an incredible journey, and it's damn impressive, honestly. I do not have the patience to put 3 years into one game. I just like to play too many things. I just like too many different kinds of genres and too many different kinds of games to really do something like that. But I guess the point wasn't really to like discourage people from trying to speedrun on Twitch or whatever the case is. But Twitch and speedrunning are not, they're not mutually exclusive, but they're not necessarily linked. They don't have to be. You can be a speedrunner and upload offline content like myself to any site that you want, or even to your own YouTube. You can upload PBs, and that's a totally fine thing to do. You don't have to stream it to the world. I find, like Ian said earlier, it's a lot easier to focus, especially if I'm going for records, if I don't have to constantly manage a chat, have additional equipment hooked up. I feel like I can be a better player if I don't do that, and that matters to me. So I choose not to do that in most cases. But
I totally get that too. But it's weird, man. And I think this is probably just because I'm so used to going live and streaming and talking to people and have that being part of running the game is like when I try offline attempts, if I get something that's on pace, I get very nervous, like insanely nervous, because there is no distraction between me and the game. It's just me in the game, and it's like silent, and I get like really in my own head, and it in that aspect, it's actually like it's harder for me now. I know that doesn't make any sense because like if you're streaming, you have a chat to manage and all of these things and all these like distractions. But like it's sort of interesting how like I don't know, like it became that way for me.
no, that makes total sense. I think that's part of just being a speedrunner. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. We all have our variations of psychology and physical abilities, right? And some people get more nervous than other people. Some people, it's just different, right? I'd certainly get nervous when I'm doing offline records all the time. I mean, like immense pressure, especially the stuff that I try to go for. I mean, some of the stuff that I'm working on with Tom Vadova. I mean, Tom Vadova, nobody knows who that guy is. I'm telling you, this guy is the most incredible NES player in the world. I mean, the stuff that he did in Twin Galaxies, he's retired now, but it's monumentally hard. And so I get really nervous when I get close, even sniffing close to one of his scores. And I often fall short. But we'll see what happens. I like to try to improve. And I'm sure when you're on pace, Ian, and you're like, Arcus has had this record for so many years. And you're the closest that anyone's ever been to it. And a third of a second seems so small, and you're like a second ahead, and then you're like your heart just starts pumping and your hands start shaking and you get sweaty. I think if you're going for records that mean a lot to you, that will happen to any runner.
Oh, I mean, it happens to anybody on any level. I can remember one of my first like big goals in this game was trying to get a top 20 time on the leaderboard, which ended up being a 12:07. But it took me a long time. It was like a really difficult thing, and like when I was on pace for that, insanely nervous. I mean, it's not much different now. Um, when I'm on pace, I'm not thinking about like Arcus has had this record for so many years. I'm thinking of like, all right, don't mess up, don't mess up, don't mess up, and like my heart's pumping, and like I think something that actually helps me, going back to what I said about offline attempts, is in front of chat. If I'm on pace, I'm freaking out inside. My heart is exploding. My hands are probably very sweaty. I probably got like nervous leg syndrome, but I'm trying to be cool for chat. I'm trying to keep it together, and in the act of doing that, I actually do kind of calm myself down a little bit, and it helps a little bit. But what keeps me going is the feeling of triumphing over that insane amount of pressure and anxiety. It's like it is a drug. Overswarm said adrenaline is a hell of a drug, and it is a drug. It's just like an insane rush. Is nothing like it. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I've been there. I felt that. I mean, I've streamed records. Me and Ian first met each other at a convention where I broke a world record live on a stage, like in front of an audience. That was like ultra pressure, right? Because we had a 2 hour window, and so that's certainly an alluring thing. Like it keeps me going. Accomplishing things and hitting goals. That's what speedrunning is about. So I'm happy for all of those out there that are able to stream a whole bunch of games and do PBs and not really care about the record or just try to get a good time on the leaderboard or whatever they're happy with. That's awesome. I think that's a great part of speedrunning. That's just not what I'm interested in, and that's not what I care about. So a lot of the posts that I've seen about world record culture, or if you break records from one player, then you're attacking them or something. I've never heard of anyone doing that. I've never experienced that. I have broken multiple records from a single player before, but not because of the player, just because I wanted to break the records of those games. So
Yeah.
if there are players out there that are targeting specific people and breaking their records, shame on you, I guess.
Like that's lame, and it's also like it's a waste of expenditure of their energy, because like if that's the only reason that you're going after some kind of record and like you don't even like the game, like what are you doing? Like I mean, I guess if it makes you feel better and you think it's worth it, then that's how can I quantify that for someone else? But like I think a lot of people are surprised when like they'll go on my chat and ask me a question about the game or strategy, and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is how you do it. And I'm like super transparent about all the things that I do. I'm not like trying to guard this like presumable edge that I might have. When someone asks me about the game, I'm just like happy like that someone cares about the game. You know what I mean? Like, you like Ninja Gaiden too? You like Ninja Gaiden on this level? Like, yeah, let's talk about it. And I mean, that I can't speak for anyone else, but that's how I am.
It was just like I don't know. It was shocking when I heard that, like, or saw that stuff. It never occurred to me that was like a thing. So we here at the 8-Bit and Retro Podcast embrace all types of speedrunners, speed topics, speed everything. Any organization that's trying to pump or promote speedrunning is great in my book. For the most part, as long as it's being done in a positive way. And that's why we're making this podcast, is to try to educate people and discuss topics and just inject some more stuff into the community the best that we can. I have a long-standing knowledge, and Ian has built up an immense amount of community and skill and knowledge himself, and we want to give that back to the community. So, but in my free time, I like to compete at NES games, and so I want to break down Vadava's scores because he's legendary, and I feel like if I break some of his scores or he's go close to them, I can see where I'm at. Maybe I can't, you know, maybe I
Yeah.
can't.
Well, we've said this before, but like where I'm at, or where Steve is at, or where any you consider a successful or skilled runner is at, it's it's just it's a demarcation of the amount of time that they've put into what they're doing, and not a whole hell of a lot else. I mean, there are some people, there are quite a few runners who are just naturally gifted. They could just play. They watch a run, or they get interested in a run, and they kind of just get it. But I would say that even that edge is not um, as significant as most people would think. They still have to put in tons and tons of hours into what they're doing to meet their goals.
Yeah, and that's something that I want to address with the listeners of the podcast, is all of these incredible things that you see these runners do. In my case specifically for NES, I've spent years of my life, like years and years, and close to a decade of my life, dedicated to the console. So that's why I can write books, because I have such an I haven't done anything else but dedicate my life to NES. And over the last 3 years, for the most part, Ian has dedicated his entire life to Ninja Gaiden. And so having that kind of interest and that kind of knowledge and experience, I want to be able to share it with people. You know, I want to be able to give it back to the community somehow and help other people reach goals on the NES or reach Ninja Gaiden World Record or whatever they want to reach. Because when I started, I didn't have anyone like me helping. I didn't have this community. I didn't have the knowledge and data. A lot of the stuff that I find out or I'm working with is brand new. A lot of the stuff for the Friday the 13th book is all cutting edge stuff that myself and other collaborators found over the course of, you know, last couple years even. And we're still finding new stuff. So it's really amazing that we can find technologies and things inside games that are 20, 30 years old, and we're still learning stuff about them. It just shows you how incredible that technology was back then.
It's pretty awesome. Me too. When I started, I wasn't part of any community. I started on Facebook, which is really odd. But there's no speedrunning community there. Or if there is, it's very, 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 very small. And there was nobody like helping me out or telling me try this, try that. That came later for me. And once I did find that community, everything just skyrocketed. You know, the potential for everything, my stream, everything. It just went through the roof. And it's been really cool. How long have we been doing this podcast? Have we been doing the podcast for 3 years?
It's over 2.
Over 2 years.
Yeah, I don't know if it's 3 yet. I think in July it ticks 3.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I know, it's crazy. I'm happy that we are doing it. I'm glad that RGL TV is brought us on, and there's so many people watching right now. I just want to say thank you to everyone that's live with us.
Thank you guys.
I expected there to be 0 people. Not a reflection of RGL TV, but a reflection of our cast.
Of us, yeah.
No, so we started with sort of different backgrounds, and me and Ian come from different perspectives on what we want out of speedrunning or why we do it. But ultimately, we share the same love for community and for growth of knowledge, and also just more people doing it, you know? And so that's why the tagline for this podcast is your bridge into the elite gaming world. We want to take those casual runners, the guys who work in a factory 40, 50 hours a week and come home and only have a few hours to learn a game or play a game. We want to give them a source of information and knowledge that they can listen to or they can get information for. Not every game has a huge community like Ninja Gaiden. And there's still so many games that need more information and need more eyes and need more runners to develop strategies for. So if you're out there, come into the communities, and you can always reach out to me and Ian, and we'll give you the best that we can. You know, we're very open and accessible guys.
For sure, yeah. It's been awesome. When we started this podcast, I think we maybe thought we might do like 3 episodes.
we always make that joke. Legitimately, like I messaged Ian and I was like, hey, you want to do a podcast? He's like, yeah. I was like, let's just cut 2 demo episodes, put them up, see what happens. And then we did like 3 or 4 episodes, and then we got PJ and we got JC, and it just kept getting guests. And it just kind of never stopped. And so I'm happy to start off with something a little smaller, bite size for you guys, so we can talk about a topic. We are going to take questions later on for the whole chat. You guys will be able to add us and ask us anything about speedrunning or whatever you want to ask us about. Just wanted Bedwa, welcome in. Thank you for the pump on the book. I'll be touching on those later. And also thank you for pointing anyone to the podcast. You can find this podcast on pretty much any platform that has podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, everywhere, like literally everywhere. We're on like, I think 20 platforms.
It's a little ridiculous.
Yeah. So go check it out. 8-Bit and Retro Podcast. We have, I think, 20 episodes, something like that. We usually release once per month, hopefully. Maybe with these bite size, if we're going to keep this formatting, we'll be able to do it a little more frequently. But we'll see. We'll see for sure. So to recap, Twitch has completely shaped the landscape of speedrunning along with speedrun.com and GDQ. And we're in a state now where the records are no longer the forefront of why runners do stuff. That's actually the minority now. Really, the people who are in the community growing it are the ones who are trying to monetize and create communities and PBs and those kind of things. Records do come for those people sometimes, but that's not the main focus. The main focus is to get more eyes on speedrunning and get more eyes on whatever particular game they want to be playing. And that's great. Old fogies like me can get left in the dust, and
No.
I can sit at my house by myself and do records, and that's totally fulfilling to me. So I'm happy that we're growing.
Yeah. I guess a good takeaway is I think maybe a lot of people think if I want to be a speedrunner, I gotta be on Twitch and stream live attempts and you know and you could do that. I recommend if you want to do that. If you're willing to put yourself out there, I highly recommend it. It's absolutely become a insanely fulfilling part of my life, not just about video games. I can't really like stress that enough. It's not me just pushing buttons. It's way, way, way more fulfilling than that. But if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to put yourself on a cam and mic, I mean, you could also stream to Twitch with no cam, no mic. Plenty of people do that. Look at Becco, massively successful because he's insanely skilled. Um, uh, you can do that, or you can do offline attempts and not even have to worry about a chat or going live. There's so many ways to get involved.
A couple of like key runners that I watched a lot or that I'm familiar with are Toad. Toad didn't have a camera like ever, I don't think. And some Cardinality, huge NES speedrunner, lots of records, doesn't use a camera. Zallard1, who was on the podcast, prolific runner, incredible feats by that guy. He does not really use a camera. So you don't have to have a webcam. You don't have to have elaborate. You don't have to have all the stuff that Ian has, all the bells and whistles that he has on his stream. You don't have to have any of that stuff. There's lots of successful streamers that just have the game window and a couple other things on there, and that's it. Yeah, I mean, it's really just about yourself, what kind of content you're providing, and your chat interaction and your community growth going forward. The speedrunning is, well, I guess my take from it is the speedrunning is such a small part of the Twitch growth, right? It's just it's the vehicle that you put inside Twitch, but you know what I mean? Like it's not the forefront reason.
I guess I would frame that idea in the package of if your goal is to become a successful streamer, then the game is only the medium to deliver value to a community, and you have to understand all of those things and work at all of those things all of the time. Okay, all the time, and be ready to fail at all of those things all of the time, like endure massive failures and attempts, failures with experimenting with your stream, failures with adding things to your stream, changing things, constantly growing and evolving. um, that's that's what makes a stream that ultimately people want to be a part of. And if you want to be that kind of streamer, then you have to be cognizant of all of those things, I guess.
The same is true if you want to be a speedrunner, even if you're doing it offline. You're going to try a bunch of stuff and you're going to fail 99% of the time. Every speedrunner does. Obviously, there are different kinds of games. There's different levels of speedruns for the amount of time that you invest. So you might fail 99% of the time in a month to get a record. You might fail 99% of the time in 3 years to get a record. But ultimately they all fail. So you have to be able to control your emotions and be able to deal with the fact that you may grind your face against a record for weeks and not make any progress on your PB at all. But then one day you just break through and you get a 20-second or a minute PB and you get that endorphin rush and that adrenaline and you're hooked. So but that's just part of running. I think the same is with Twitch. You know, you spend a lot of time streaming to no one, and you grow slowly over time for the most part, and that can be frustrating for some. You know.
Yeah. Also, being a part of a community as a streamer isn't just about streaming. You have to like um, legitimately make friends. Not like go into someone's stream and like, hey, what's up? Yeah, I just got a massive PB. I'm awesome. Like, follow me. Like, you have to like. I've made so many legitimate friends through Twitch. I can't even name them all. It's like pretty incredible. Some of them like uh I've grown so fond of that I've actually gone out of my way to meet in person, not from even from where I live. And you got to do that, and there's no way to fake that. You have to just go out there and connect with like-minded people. And if you're into video games and watching runs or doing runs fast, there's plenty of like-minded people to find out there and connect with.
Yeah, that's my like probably my favorite part over the last at least couple years. The first few years I was speedrunning, I didn't really know a lot of speedrunners, and that was very lonely because you can't really talk to anyone about cool stuff, right? And then the community thing started to really grow everywhere, and there was just a lot more people in discords and talking about communities over the last 3 or 4 years, and obviously your community as well. And I've connected with a lot of people just from your chat, like Inubito and a lot of people at Lickython and Slackinator and many
Sure.
others, Retrofile TV, etc., that I'm at least semi friendly with or friends or we're on some kind of level there, and that's an amazing thing. A lot more people to talk to about speedrunning, so that I don't have to bore my wife talking to her about things that I do that it annoys her. Like, oh, I got another record today, and she's like, oh, cool, awesome. Like it's
Yeah,
no big deal to her, right?
yeah,
But yeah, I love where the community is, and I'm okay with me not really fitting in correctly with that community because I think it's really good for speedrunning, and I can always find my own way. I take out of it what I want. Still getting what I want out of speedrunning. It doesn't have to. Everyone doesn't have to think like me or want to be like me, right? In fact, I think in the old days there were a lot of people who thought like me, but ended up just being jerks, right? And it was like this negative culture of like conflict and friction, right? Hide secrets and keep technologies from each other and compete and break each other's records, and there's like a stigma from that. I'm definitely not like that, so I don't really agree with any of that stuff either. I see games, I see scores and records. My brain won't let me go to sleep, and I try to break them. It has nothing to do with anybody other than my own personal fulfillment on it. And I think it's the same for you. Like you just
yeah.
personally want to do it.
I'm reminded of when I first like started watching speedruns ever, and like how impactful that was. Like if you read a life-changing book or see a life-changing movie and I saw it, I was like, that is cool. I want to do that. And on some level it's still like that. You know, I think it's very cool, and like I said before, it's starting to even branch out beyond video games. Like you start like inspiring people to play games. It's very odd to me. Not unlike with your books. I don't know if you really plugged yourself, but Steve writes
Oh, we'll get there.
book guides.
We'll do it at the end.
But I'm sure people look at that art and the books, and they're obviously inspired to play those games. It's massive. It's substantial. It's not just colored pixels on a screen.
Yeah, I think I've said this before, but as you when you're trying to go for world records, the more that you get, the less that they mean, if that makes any sense, because you start to get the ones that you want, and you get those feelings, and it's just about chasing those feelings for a lot of people. But I digress. So the thing that I wanted to say is it's so much more fulfilling for me when someone reads my book or buys my book and beats a game that they couldn't beat as a kid, because that means so much more to me than having a bunch of world records. I only do the records for my own personal fulfillment, and then I put them up so that I have credentials so that people want to buy my books and understand that they're coming from a person who has some experience and credentials. But I don't want to say it's daily, but weekly I get messages from people who have read my books or other things and are excited to some people give the books to their kids and they read them and they play through the games.
That's really cool. I didn't even consider that. That's really cool.
And I think that's part of what I feel good about is giving back to the community with this podcast and books and other things like that, and trying to get another generation of people interested in speedrunning and retro games. As little as I can put the meter or the gas meter up, right? Like, I'm just one person and you're one person, but hopefully we inspire others. And I feel like since we've started this cast, there have been more podcasts, and I think that's good. I want more content being created, and I want more people talking about this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you approached me to want to do a podcast again. I thought maybe we'd do a handful of them. I love podcasts. I listen to all kinds of them all the time. So I was like, what? I get to have my own one? I get to run my mouth on a podcast? Like, sign me up. Yeah, it's been an awesome journey. Here we are on Retro Gaming Live TV. Hopefully bring you guys many more of these. Probably
we made it.
We made it.
We're rich.
right.
We're rich. I never have to work a day in my life now.
I can stop streaming. I don't have to. But yeah, we can do more of these and get guests and stuff. Thank you guys for hanging with us for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're still going to be cutting this into the regular podcast, so we don't want to go too long. But before I take questions, I want to do a little promo for myself about my books, because they're gonna. The reason why I want to do this is because I'm going to sell out of them, and I want those who are in this community that are connected to me to be able to get one of these, because I don't believe we're going to reprint them. Okay, so I published a book with Hagen's Alley. They're the largest retro video game book publisher in the United States. It's a hardcover book, over 120 pages. It's in the new series. It's called The Easy Way, How to Beat Friday the 13th on NES the Easy Way. This is a hardcover book, all the bells and whistles. It's the most comprehensive source of information on Friday the 13th for the NES that you can find anywhere in the world. And it is explained in a way that is simplistic. So an 8-year-old kid can read the book and play through the game. So the instructions are from a perspective of the easiest way to complete the game, instead of the fastest or the glitchiest or whatever. Just the easiest way. And it's from my own experiences and all of the research and collective knowledge that I could find over time. So that book is live right now. You can buy this on hagensalley.com. That's where it's at right now. It's in their warehouse. We're going to sell out of these. As soon as the convention happens, I will be out of these. That's the only reason they're not sold out. This is brand new, and only Ian and some other people have seen this. I just finished this. This is a paperback book, Fester's Quest. This is the new templated format for the books. And this one is Fester's Quest. This is going to be for sale very soon, in the next few days, I would say. I'm finished with the site. I'm just going to put the new site up. I have a new site going up for these guides. So that's going up very, very soon. Anyone who wants any information about those, please contact me via my Twitch or email or anything on my website, www.8bitsteve.com. I also have a Punch-Out guide coming, and there's a Kickstarter going up on Hagen's Alley for a Punch-Out book that is incredible by an author called Daniel L. I don't want to give out his last name. It's a completely comprehensive Punch-Out book. Zallard 1, Summoning Salt, and Sinister 1 all collaborated on this book with this author. And he thankfully allowed me to create an easy way Punch-Out guide that will be sold inside the Kickstarter as well. So look to my socials for that, and you can get the Punch-Out book early. And many, many more books to come. Maybe a Ninja Gaiden book with the retro owner's face on the cover. Maybe Arcus. We'll see.
Maybe Arcus.
So, yes, please. For the record, guys, the money that I get from the books, it's not like paying my mortgage. I have them at valued rates. The hardcover books are $20 and the paperbacks are $10. I use that money to create more books. It goes directly back into there. And when we have conventions, I may use some of that money to travel. So I'm not making a mint off of them. I'm not trying to be rich. I'm just trying to create content and give back to the community. But that does cost money and time. And so I'm just trying to mitigate some of that with those costs. Oh, thank you, Pyle. Thank you for that. All right, I guess you ready for questions?
Yeah, let's do some questions.
Okay, so here's how the questions are going to work. You need to use the @ symbol, @me, 8-Bit Steve, or @RetroRunner. And we will answer as many questions as we can. So if you want to ask a specific question, put it in the chat right now, at me or at Ian, and we will address those.
8-bit Steve is the word, by the way. 8.
Yeah,
EIGHT.
it's a little confusing. It wasn't available on some of the socials.
Yeah,
so,
I know. So
yeah.
look what we got. Realist, me 8-bit Steve ever or the Retro Runner. Good one.
The Fester's book is smaller. It's only 34 pages, but it's a smaller game. But it's still got all the great stuff in it. It's the same concept. The hardcover book had a lot of Kickstarter because it was Kickstarter, successfully funded on Kickstarter in one day. 3.8 times the goal, so very successful Kickstarter, but it's got a lot of Kickstarter stuff in the book. That's why it's a little bit bigger and it's hardcover. So, all right, no questions. Let's go.
All right, I'm out.
Yeah. We'll just sit here for about 5 or 10 and see if we can get some questions from any of the many people in the live chat right now. I'm sure one of you has a question for me, probably. At Steve, who the heck are you? Why are you on RGLTV?
Noise Police, who I've worked with. If you heard the intro song, that is Noise Police's arrangement that he asked me to contribute lead guitar to. I'm very proud of the track that we did together. But he says, what are some of the most annoying chat faux pas you dealt with on Path to Partner? I don't know. I guess you got one thing I had to learn how to manage with chat is people who mean well, of course, and are trying to help, but say things that and invariably I've answered many times, and I've just come to realize that that's part of the gig. You know, you're gonna be a streamer. You're gonna have a chat. You're gonna repeat yourself constantly.
Ian, do you know Arcus?
No, who's that? I have no idea. I never came across him. Arcus? What is that? A computer? E Bloody Candy again. With so many new technologies allowing people to play retro games, analog MUs. How do you foresee that shaping the speedrunning landscape, especially with timing differences? We've discussed this on the podcast before at length.
That's a doozy.
That is we could talk about that for hours. What I wish I knew the number of the podcast to point you to, but we spent an entire podcast talking.
Yeah, we've talked about version differences. We've talked about console differences. We've talked about controller differences. Go back and listen to our whole backlog of podcasts, and you'll do that. But I'm not to cut in on your question, but for me, I'm a purist. I like to see original console, original controller, original cart. I realize that that's a completely unrealistic, old school, get off my lawn approach, but that's what I, in my heart, want it to be. But I'm happy that we have a bigger community because people don't think like me. More consoles, the better, I guess.
I choose OG hardware CRT as well, just because it's easier to perform well with those tools, I feel, but I don't think it necessarily should be limited. The only thing that gets hairy, and we don't have enough time to discuss, unfortunately, is when you compare some of those runs from emulator to original hardware, it gets very sus, very dicey. It's not always apples to oranges, and we're in a really interesting time for speedrunning in that respect. There's all sorts of different things you could talk about. Not even emulation aside, hardware differences. Now there's a controller that someone modded, an NES controller, again, in this episode that we talked about, where it has a little slot for an SD card, and it will play a series of task inputs, but it's in an NES controller, so,
I don't know. That made me sick to my stomach when I saw that.
Yeah.
Like, I legit got a pit in my stomach, like, oh, God. And the reason I got that pit is because I've spent so much time doing things as legit as I possibly can with as much evidence as I can, and to see something like that so easily cheatable, it just made me sick.
Yeah, and the guy who made it wasn't trying to come up with some super Mission Impossible 007 new way to cheat. He was just saying, like, look what could be possible in the wrong hands.
Awesome. Jaybird says, Ed Ape and Steve, will you ever continue your NES campaign that you started oh so many years ago? That is sort of a long question. I'll abbreviate it the best that I can. I started a beat every NES game thing that you've seen so many runners do. I started it way back in the day when Mexican Runner was about 50 games into his, and I was unaware that he was doing it. I did that for about 2 years straight, a little more. It was sucking a lot of my energy and life away. I also debuted that particular project on a Facebook Live page that was rather large and did some runs on that. I got to, I don't know, 200 ish completed games and some of the most hardest ones as well. And I realized that that was something that was literally destroying my life because it was just taking all of my time away, and I was just obsessed by it. So I stopped doing that for a very, very long time. The question is, will I get back to doing that? The answer is yes, but not in the way that you might think. I'm almost certainly not going to stream it. I'm going to casually, occasionally beat NES games and link them to a spreadsheet that I have that I've created that I did this year where I consolidated all my videos. So I am still beating NES games offline, trying to get to the magical total of beat all the NES games. But I don't think people realize when they start doing that how many there are and how long that actually takes, and that 99% of the NES library is complete garbage and it's miserable. You have to play Miracle Piano and Power Pad games and Zapper games and Akari Warriors.
Just real quick, I love how people are like say, "Oh, this game sucks" for NES. Like, do you know what an NES game that sucks looks like though?
I do.
Because I know you do.
Oh, I do.
There's some real stinkers.
Yeah, Jaybird, I will do that somewhat. What is this? At Ape and Steve, should runs done on a Mister be accepted? I know there is a big gatekeeping in the WarioWare community for that. I don't like the word gatekeeping. I feel like it's used as a derogatory term when the entire point of having a leaderboard and a world record is gatekeeping inherently. That's why you have a leaderboard, is so that you can see who is better than someone else or rank them. And that's why you have rules. So like the whole point of having a leaderboard with rules is gatekeeping, whether that's on a small scale or a large scale. As far as whether Mr. should be accepted or not, I've come to the realization that my opinion does not matter at all. The community has spoken. 90 large portions of the community allow emulators to be compared against original consoles. I don't see why Mr. would be any different. They're not timed the same, but no one seems in the community seems to care in most cases. So I say it's up to the community to decide what should be allowed for a particular game. And if I'm not in that community, then I shouldn't have a say. So if the WarioWare community thinks that Mr. should be used, then go for it. I play NES, so. ZG, I enjoyed your co-op rivalry with VGA against Jake Rockin, Space Coast Gaming, and Ultra Beast. It was a real treat. Will you and VGA be doing any future speedrun team-ups? I don't think so. Maybe. I just kind of dabble in stuff sometimes. I get a whim, and I just, VGA messaged me. We started talking, and I was like, I want to try to go for Ultra Beast. We started pushing the time and innovating it for a while, and then we got the time so fast that the amount of time that we would need to put into it to get the record back just wasn't worth it. So we just stopped. I mean, that's pretty much the end of that. Oh, there's one.
Longtime friend of mine, and I'll just say the reason that I am a streamer, because he found me on Facebook with the cell phone cap, and he was like, "Dude, you're pretty good. Have you tried actually like capturing video legitly?" And
you're pretty good, kid, but you suck.
And he's like, "You're," and I was like, "No, I can't do that, and no, I would never do that." And he basically sent me like his capture device that he wasn't using, told me how to use it, and like that is why I'm here, definitely. ZG, this is probably mentioned before. My memory sucks balls, but what are your plans after World Reckoning Ninja Gaiden? First of all, immense faith that I'm definitely going to be able to do it. I like that. After you do it, you're gonna do it.
I have faith.
Sure, but after you will do that. No, I mean I have said this before. There's a couple possibilities. One is we just barely eke out the record, and I'm somehow not satisfied with it, or I still see that there's realistic time to be pushed, then that's what we do. It could happen. I mean, the PB that I have now has some real jank in it. You know, it's like a full knockback in it, and not some pretty imperfect stuff. Or I'm like, okay, pretty happy with that time. I don't think that I could realistically improve that. And I would love to get my hands on low percent in that game. There's a lot of time that could be had in that category. And then after that, I don't know. I mean, I will have to play another game eventually. You know, maybe Ninja Gaiden 2 or Ninja Gaiden 3. I also kind of like secondary and tertiary, like not so serious runs. I like to mess with Monster Party for the NES and Splatterhouse Wampaku Graffiti. Those are really cool runs. And maybe improve the time there.
I'm gonna hit. These aren't added, but I'm gonna hit 40 Rot Range and Real Texamosis here. So 40 Rot Range says, if the electronic logic is the same, is it any different? And he's referring to Mr. FPGA or AVS or Analog NT. The theory is that no, they are not. The practical application of that, with a lot of, I don't want to say articles or studies, I don't want to sound like I'm a scientist, but people that I know that have done tests on that found that to be not true. The AVS, in fact, my friend Inabito did a test with Home Alone, the Home Alone world record. If you do the Home Alone world record on a regular console, it comes out to 1958. If you do it on an AVS with the same cart, it comes out 2 seconds slower. So every 10 minutes, you lose 1 second of time, even though the FPGA is designed to emulate the NES circuitry the same. So I can't say that's the same for the Mister or any other console, but we just can't know the differences. There are some in most cases. And then Texamosa says, optical drive emulators make you void from owning speedrun records, right? The answer to that is it depends on the game and the community, what they accept. It varies wildly. Iraq Vet 0304, if you are a vet, thank you for your service. Ed Ape and Steve, as well as at the Retro Runner. It's for both of us. It's a Christmas present. What are your favorite NES games to run and why? I'll let you go.
Well, obviously, I've invested a lot of time into Ninja Gaiden. It's actually, as a game, it has many faults. It is very jank. There's a lot of things that don't really work that are supposed to work, and those are challenges that are presented to you as a runner that you have to overcome. Any game that you run will have challenges like that, especially retro games. But I think what draws me to it mostly is it's technical, but at the same time, it is an attractive looking run. So like you might not even need to know that much about the game, and you watch a run and you're like, wow, that looks pretty awesome. Like all this slash canceling business, and he's like flip flopping up the ladder really quick, those quick climbs. And I think that's what makes it such an alluring run. It's technical. There's a high skill cap for high level play, but it's also attractive, so that it draws attention from people. But you know, I've messed with other games before. I've messed with Mega Man 2, Zipless. I forgot what my PB in that is. It's okay. It's a good run. I liked Mega Man a lot, and I think I mentioned the other NES games that I kind of dabbled in. So I'll let Steve go into some of his favorite.
I've played a lot of the NES, so I have a lot of favorites in different genres, but two of my favorites from childhood were Princess Tomato and the Salad Kingdom, which I've talked about a lot on the podcast, and Kung Fu Heroes, which I have world records in both of those games. I really love Stinger by Konami. I think it's a really underrated shoot 'em up Konami game. I love Fester's Quest and Friday the 13th and lots of other obscure NES games that you probably have never heard of. I just recently played through Adventures of Rad Gravity. That game is very hard and underrated. It's a really cool game. So I really don't have a favorite per se. I like a lot of the console, but I like stuff that's considered bad by most people's standards for the console. And to respond to Pyle, yeah, I understand what you're saying. My only point to you is that if we have any rules on any leaderboard, it is a gate. And so saying the word gatekeeping when additional restrictions are added is sort of redundant to me. I think the community should decide what is allowed and what's not allowed. And then that is the gate that they create, whether that's large or small. It's still a gate. What else we got?
Retro Runner, when are you going to join Nescathlon, Zenith, or Big 20 events? I don't know. I don't know, man. I just I've been so I do want to do other things, and there are other aspects to my channel. I play music. There's a redemption where um, I can take your favorite video game OST and I arrange it, I record it, and then I perform it. I deliver the track to you and I perform it live. It's crazy time consuming, but we do that. And I do want to play other games, but I'm just like, what can I say, man? I'm caught in this grind. Like we're in too deep to just be like, oh, let me focus on 20 other games now. Eventually, yeah, I can't play this game forever. I don't want to play this game forever. And yeah, I would love to get my foot in other titles and establish myself in them. So it's not like oh, Retro Runner, that's the Ninja Gaiden guy. With Retro Runner, that's the Retro Runner guy or whatever, the Guitar Retro Runner guy.
This is another double one. Virus Returns says, how do you deal with speedrunning burnout? Do you deal with it at all? My approach to this is to only play stuff that I feel like I want to play, and not to force myself to play stuff that I think is a AAA game just because I think it's going to get more traction or it's more covetable to my heart. When I start to play an NES game or I'm going for a record in it, if I feel bad, and I feel like I'm getting angry or I'm getting burned out, I just stop. And that's very hard to do for some people. When I'm playing a lot of NES for a long period of time and I can feel the burnout coming, I usually take a break for a day or two and go outside, go visit my mom, or just go get some ice cream, or just do something that's not speedrun related. Watch The Mandalorian, whatever I can do that's not related to gaming.
Yeah, that's the same for me. Like that's the obvious thing is take a break. Don't stream. Don't even stream. Don't even play. If I'm really burnt out and I'm like super tilted by runs, I won't even play a game for the next day or 2 days even. And that does a lot for your perspective when you come in the next time and attempt runs. I'll just go enjoy the day with my girlfriend, or just watch TV or watch a dumb movie. Like I highly recommend that. Like if you stream countless attempts every day or 5 days a week or whatever it is, you're gonna burn out. Like everybody, it happens to everybody. So you got to find a way to remove yourself from that.
Find the thing that turns your brain off of that. I have a very hard time turning my brain off of NES stuff, and so I just try to find stuff that makes me not think about NES. Or in the case of you guys, if you're doing a speed run and you're just consumed with it and obsessed with it, find something that makes you not think about that and go do that for a while, or just get away from your phone, get away from anything that could remind you of that for a day or two, and get refreshed, or however long it takes. It will help. Yes, I forgot to say this. Well, I meant to. I was waiting for the end, but we are going to be revealing live on the 8-Bit Retro Podcast the Retrothon schedule. It's going to be live, and I believe Anthole is going to come on the air with us in the audio in your ear holes. It's going to come. All right. Do either of us have any marathon running experiences? If so, what were your favorite runs? Who wants to go first?
I don't know. I'll go first.
Yeah, go.
I have a couple. Nothing huge. I do want to do more marathons, but I did do a couple. My favorite one is for a marathon called STO Speed Them Over, which is a charity to get European and I think specifically German runners who got their runs approved into GDQ but couldn't afford to make it to the States, to help them get to the States. I did 2 runs. One was a Ninja Gaiden run, which was okay. It was fine. And before Ninja Gaiden, I used to run a game called Mega Man X in the 100% category. That was most of my time was spent grinding that game. And I did a 4-way race with remember the runner's name, Poison Curls, Clipper,
Darrenville,
and Darrenville, yes. Mm-hmm. And at the time, all of these runners had their PBs were faster than mine. And not only did I come out of the race, but I got a PB, a very small PB, and I never ran the game again.
Retired.
That's the last time I ran the game, but that was a great experience.
I've done the largest one that I've done is ESA. I was able to go to Sweden before COVID and be a part of ESA. That is an absolutely incredible group of volunteers and staff. They were so gracious and cordial to me, and the country was so amazing. I just felt like I was royalty. And at the time, I had no Twitch following, but they treated me like I was TMR or somebody that was super, super famous. So that was very heartwarming and awesome to see, and it was fun. I did 2 runs there. We did Golden Axe co-op and Streets of Rage co-op. When we did the Streets of Rage co-op, we actually set a huge PB. It was several minutes PB there. We had a great run there. I also I have a funny story for ESA, but we also did Lickython together, the two of us. You did Ninja Gaiden there, and I did a whole bunch of NES runs, and that was an incredible marathon there. And I've done a bunch of smaller ones that I care not to name, little small ones here and there, but for the majority, ESA has been the culmination. It's really cool.
Lickython was dope. Also, if you haven't heard of Lick Arcade, I suggest you follow him. And we have a whole podcast episode on Lickython. It's definitely worth checking out.
Yes. I am going to have to turn off Ian's camera at some point in a few minutes here to get Ant on here, because if I click anything away from this window, it will show on that screen. So we'll get to that in a second. But I went to ESA, and ESA had 2 blocks. They had, I think they called it Alpha Block and Omega Block. And there were time that they set aside in the marathon that they didn't put anything in. And what they do is they had this board, like a chalkboard or like a whiteboard, and runners on site could put stuff on the board, and they would put it into that block. So it was like a surprise to the audience what it was going to be, but only runners that came on site could submit to that. And I thought that was a really cool idea. So I asked Rasmus, who was like my contact there, sort of, I was like, can I submit stuff to this board? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, how much stuff can I write on there? And he's like, just submit whatever you want. Just write it on there, right? So I just started writing all these NES runs that I could do, like on this empty whiteboard. And I started to fill the whole whiteboard with NES games that I wanted to run, right? Because I'm at ESA, right? And so I got like 30 or 40 games in. And Fatsky came over, which is one of the organizers, and he's like, you're really going to do all those games? And I was like, if you let me, yeah, I'll do as many games as you want. Like, I'm here to show what I can do. So he's like, well, let's have a meeting and we'll talk about, there's no way we can fit that many games in. So that's where the Easy Way was born. I used to do the Easy Way as a joke or sort of for fun at bars and shows and stuff, where I would just show people how to beat hard games. And I was like, well, I got this thing that I show people how to beat stuff. Would you guys want to do that? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, well, how many games? He's like, how about 3? So we did Jaws, Friday the 13th, and Boy and His Blob. And I was like, do you want me to just get someone from the audience? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. I was like, well, how about we do a staff member? And he's like, yeah. And so Rasmus was like, yeah, I'll do it. So Rasmus, who had never played any of those games before, no prep, and gave him no information, we went on stream and I talked him through beating all 3 games in the allotted time. It was pretty awesome. And that's where the book idea was born. So thanks to ESA, I was able to use that video as a springboard to get the book published and create the Easy Way going forward.
Pretty awesome, man. Overswarm. When do you want to race me in Ninja Gaiden? Both of us blind. Dude, never. I know you'd win already. I know you've done stage 1 blind. Not like I haven't played the game before, like blind. I will say that, although probably insanely difficult and small, narrow probability, I don't know that it'd be impossible to complete blindfolded. So if you're able to do that, let us know. Let me know.
Yeah, I only pump and promote ESA because I went there and they were gracious to me and they were very nice, and I had a really great experience with them and it was incredible. So I've never been to GDQ. I've never been accepted to GDQ. I'm sure it's amazing. I don't have any experience. I don't have any experience going there.
I'll keep submitting Ninja Gaiden, and You guys keep denying. This is the dance we do every year.
Like, are you Arcus? Get out of here.
Oh, look at this, not Arcus. Get him out of here.
All right, I'm gonna. You can still hear Ian talk. I'm gonna turn his camera off for a second so I can get Ant added to the call, and we'll go over the Retrothon schedule. Still taking questions, by the way, if you got any more. Would love to hear your thoughts and comments and concerns about the format, things that you may want to see on the cast going forward, anything that you want. Hit us with everything. This is the first one, so get your tendrils into the cast early. Help mold and shape it in the future.
Teen says, "I love you, Steve." Teen's my girlfriend.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Be nice to her.
I always am. All right, let me find Ian's camera here.
Goodbye.
Surprisingly more difficult than I expected it to be. I think it's this one. Yep. Ninja vanish. All right. Now I can actually. Okay. For Anthole, give us a second, guys. Here, we're gonna get him added in. I just have to add him into here. Add him as a member. They can still hear you, Ian. Just so you know. Damn. You are just invisible.
I was hoping to get all my burping and farting out of the way.
I did not have any soda today for that reason. I'm not going to do that. We're not going down. I can't edit it out. I can't edit all my burps out.
This is totally new for us, guys, by the way. Normally we pause and like blurp, like, oh, that's a bad burp. Let's edit that out. There's none of that here.
Or like, I got to go to the bathroom. Hold on. I just get up and
yeah.
just get up and leave. This is totally new.
I guess this is for both of us. Magus says, thoughts on routing and being the first person to speedrun a game and creating the leaderboard, which is a severely open-ended question.
I think.
Have you ever done that, Steve?
Well, kind of. Hold on. Let me. You go ahead and answer it, and I'll get Ant in here.
Yeah. I have never done this, but I am familiar with many runners who do run games and maybe are the only person who run them and are not so interested in modding a board. Like I know PJ to Caesar has all of his PBs. He just doesn't even care about speedrun.com. He just has them all on his website, and you can check out his PBs, and obviously if no one has run a game before, you have to route it from start to finish, which I've done as an experiment. I did with a game called Metagal, which no one will ever care about. It's a Mega Man / Mega Man X clone game where you're a girl instead of a Mega Man. But the goal was to be able to route it from beginning to end with no source to go off of and no save states. Which is a really cool process. I recommend to any runner. You have to be very, very creative, and it forces you to think about the game in new and interesting ways. That's pretty much all I would have to add to that.
Like I said, a lot of the stuff that I ran early on, or even some stuff that I run today, is very low number of runners. I think there was one runner who had a run on Kung Fu Heroes when I posted my time into it, and I think maybe one other runner posted a time since then, and that was like 4 years ago. So I've never created a leaderboard myself. I've always tried to stay away from that. I really like to stay inside the rules that are created by others and not really try to mold the rules to fit myself. But I try to give my opinions to some communities if I feel like those are warranted. I know I contributed some information to the Friday the 13th community to try to help shape the way that board works. But that's just my own opinion. So I've never done it from scratch. I did create a classic concentration speedrun.com board years ago, but I never uploaded anything into it, and they ended up just removing me as a mod because I never did anything with it. I have no idea why I was even running that game. But no, I'm not a moderator on any boards or anything like that. I choose not to do that. I don't want. I don't feel like my opinions reflect what the majority of the community desires. So I just work inside the rules that are there and go from there. As far as go ahead.
Hats off and appreciations to people who mod leaderboards, because they don't get paid. I don't know if everyone knows that, but and they have to rifle through hours and hours of gameplay footage, and someone has to do that. So thank you if you're a mod. Leaderboard.
Yeah. As far as as far as the routing and stuff goes, if you want to play a game that has no run in the board, which is getting very slim now, if from an NES perspective, there are very few games that have empty boards. I would say just beat the game and upload it, but keep in mind that someone's gonna break it. So don't expect it to be there for years and years and years and be a coveted thing. If it's the very first run there, it's gonna get broke at some point. When you upload a speed run, it goes onto a speedrun Twitter bot and it goes onto the main page of speedrun.com and eyes get on it. And when people look at something and they see it in their head, that makes them want to look at it. And when a speedrunner looks at something and they see it's very unoptimized, they want to do better. That's how speedrunners work. So if you really want to get your game optimized and you want to get information, upload a run there. You're probably going to get a bite, a speedrunner fish bite.
Just post it on SDA. No one will break it. the pile.
Funny, but not funny at the same time.
That's a good one. Retro Runner, how's Long Island, the LIE traffic like normally? It's terrible, but I don't take the LIE. We don't really go places that require it. That's awful. So.
I think we have Ant in here. Are you in here, Ant? You may now speak if you can hear me. I see you in the chat. Do we get signal? Set us up the bomb? No?
Someone set us up the bomb.
Yeah. That is I can't believe you caught that. This is just such an old reference. All our base belong to RGL TV. Exactly, Bedwa. Exactly. The speedrunning's all about pushing the game. It'll always be pushed. It'll always go further. Just when we think we know everything, we find more stuff. Happens pretty much in every game that's ever been played ever.
What you say?
What you say?
Take off every zig.
Boop, 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 boop.
Take off every zig.
Make your time.
Make your time.
Oh my god, I watched that like at least 100 times.
I think I remember seeing that like on Fox News or something, like really long time ago. The all your base are belong to us meme. Like I remember seeing it like on the news. I was like, oh, this is wild that this is like this isn't news, but
I haven't seen that since Newgrounds got taken down. I haven't seen that. Yeah, Inubito. Absolutely, but something that I want to pitch to you, and this is not to poke holes in what you said. Just because you uploaded it to a leaderboard with no runs doesn't mean it's the first time somebody beat that game. So it's not the world's first speed run of the game. It's just the first one that was uploaded to the leaderboard, if that makes any sense. Somebody has probably beaten that game before. They just never uploaded their run. So theirs may have been faster than yours. We never know. And the first one that's uploaded, the likelihood of that being true is much higher than after 100 have been uploaded or 500 or whatever. So,
do you ever have favorite chatters? Yes, it's you, teen. It's you. All of our chats would be boring without you. We all know it.
Sorry for the delay, guys. We are waiting on Ant. He is in the chat here, but he is not speaking to us. I think we angered him. We've angered the elder gods.
Our first episode, we ruined everything.
I was just waiting for a cue. Hello, how are you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. I had a little bit of issues here. Like, as soon as I joined your voice chat, a giant truck pulled up by my open window and started making backup noises. I was like, oh, great. I got to close my window.
That's not good for a podcast.
Not so much.
When we had PJ on, he lives across the street from a fire station, and a fire truck just started going off, and he just kept talking. He was like, he heard it, and then he was like, yeah, I don't care about that. And he just kept talking, so we couldn't edit it. So if you listen to that episode, you will hear a fire truck going off while PJ's explaining stuff, because he just kept
That's fantastic.
He just kept talking. So So we're already in trouble. We've got the management in the podcast on the very first episode. Yeah, no, Ant, thank you for having us on the platform. It's been really amazing with the chat, and hopefully everyone's enjoying this version of the cast and having a good time. I do have the website for the Retrothon schedule. I can put it up on the screen here. I'm not sure how visible it will be because it's a window capture, but I can do that if that's what you desire.
Yeah, I know that everyone is here and excited for the big announcement, the big reveal, and I'm really excited to say that yes, Game Show Night will be coming back on RGL TV with Concakes as the host. I'm sure that's the reason everyone is here and waiting, but yeah, if you want to put the Retrothon schedule up, that's perfectly fine. Let's show the people what we've got here.
I mean, I was waiting for that announcement, honestly. Concakes is awesome. Okay, give me a second here, guys. There's so many more things to click on this now. I believe.
Just while you're preparing that, I just want to give a couple of quick, uh, just little tidbits about the schedule and everything. We had an unprecedented amount of submissions for this retrothon. We were blown away by the amount of people who submitted the 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 wide net of games that were cast into our waters. Um, just so many amazing and unusual games, and a lot of first time runners. It was pretty spectacular, and I am extremely proud to say that even though we had the overwhelming amount of submissions, uh, we did extend it an extra day over what we normally do in order for us to be able to make sure that every single person who submitted a game got at least one game in. So that's something that we're really proud of being able to do, is ensure that all runners have something in the marathon.
Awesome. Do you want me to read some of these off, or maybe me and Ian can touch on some some highlighted things that we are interested in seeing, or would you like to read some of the? How would you like to do it, friend?
Sure. We pride ourselves here on theming for our marathons. So we like to create blocks and put together groups of games. I see Enemy in the chat. Enemy, if you're able to, want to drop the link so that everyone can follow along. Um, or if you want to just show it on screen as well, Steve, that would be great. But yeah, like we're starting off strong. We got um, Siphon Filter, which has been kind of a tradition for Retrothon. We've got Pro 007 running that, and he's opening for us, and that's going to start us off with a PlayStation 2 block. So that's going to be really interesting. We have a Saturn block, guys. Like, blows me away that we were able to put together a Sega Saturn block during Retrothon. And just so happy that we had so many people submit Saturn games that we were able to group that together in its own individual block. We've got some real shining stars there with Mr. Bones and Sonic R and Dark Arms, Beast Buster. Oh, that's a Neo Geo game. Never mind. I misread that. But yeah, we got
Shinobi
some
Legions, that's an
stellar
awesome game.
games.
I only casual played Shinobi Legions. That's a really good game.
Yeah, that I'm looking forward to seeing all of those.
Yeah, I obviously I'm gonna look for the NES games. That's what I always like. But I'm happy that a lot of the RGL TV staff is also like into NES, and they run a lot of, I would say, obscure stuff, even more even on the same level of obscure that I run, like Superman, Wizardry, Knight of Diamonds, Heroes and Lance. These are not, Double Dare is hilarious. That's a hilarious run. Yeah, there's just Cochrane. I don't even know what that game is. That must be a PAL game or a new release. Chaos at the Carnival is a really funny Muppet game that is actually kind of hard. Not really a fun Muppet game at all. Captain
My,
Planet
bu-
one.
my buddy Retrophile TV in there with a demon sword.
That is right. Yeah, Demon Sword, also an obscure game. Retrophile TV. Shout outs to you, man. A lot of staff member here with NES games. A ton of NES. I love it.
Yeah, we actually, the first year we did Retrothon, because obviously we have a lot of people on staff who are NES runners, and the first year it was mostly staff submissions because we were just getting our feet wet. But we ended up having, just between NES runners and staff, enough NES runs to do an entire day dedicated to the NES. And we were like, well, let's do Wednesday. Like, it'd be awesome. Be, just kind of fun, a silly block. And it worked out that every year since we've had enough NES games submitted that we can continue that tradition. So it's one of my favorite blocks. I'm a big fan of the NES. It was my first real video game console that I owned, and I just love. There's such a variance of the games, with quality, style. It's hard to find a game that doesn't have an enjoyable factor to it on the NES. So there are a few stinkers, I will admit. There are a few games that I'm like, why on earth would you run that? Why on earth would anyone play that
I can spend an
in
entire day showing you
any,
games that
you
don't
know?
have any worth on the NES. But you don't
But
want to. You don't want to be where I'm at. Yeah, you don't want to. Shout outs to Toad for Ghoul School. Ghoul School is one of my closet favorite NES games. I never talk about it because no one knows what it is. It's this really weird game where you play a punk kid that his school has been taken over by aliens and like monsters and stuff, and you like go through a high school killing stuff. It's really bizarre. Shout outs to him for running that. Goonies 2 is another fun game by Crit Rocket. Just Yells is doing Marble Madness. That can't be. That's gonna be. It's gonna be one to watch. One for the ages. I turned off the Twitch overlay window capture there because it didn't look like it was displaying very well. But the link is in the chat, guys. Posted by Enemy. Go check out the schedule. Very notable stuff on this list. These are all high level things. There is one DOS game on Wednesday though, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's if you live on the best coast, it's before midnight. So just got to move over to California, everyone, and then Wednesday will be pure. No, we had decided to because Weapon, who's on our staff, submitted Mega Man 3 DOS and Kiko Cubicle, and since we had the Mega Man block leading into the uh, NES block Wednesday, we didn't want to have him have like a 5 hour period between his games where he, especially, that's another thing we do when we do these marathons. We try to make it as painless as possible for the people playing because they've sacrificed their time to come and showcase their runs for us, and so we want to try to scratch their back too. We want to try to make it, even though we can't always get scheduling and everything perfect, we really do our best to ensure that we make it painless for the runners, because the runners they're why we're here. We wouldn't have a channel without an audience, but wouldn't have content without the runners. So and that's what Retrothon actually was all about. You know, we don't do it's not for charity. We don't try to get any like donations or anything to it. You know, if they come in, we're happy, but we're not pushing for it. We're not, you know, doing a fundraiser. Retrothon is a pure speedrun event focused on retro and focused on the runners. The whole thing is about the runners.
Shout outs to ZG, semi friend of mine, Genesis runner. He got Aladdin and Castle of Illusion, and he's in the chat right now. Awesome games. I've never been a big Genesis fan. I feel like it's a very clunky console. I don't like the controller, but there are some really cool games on the console. I cannot deny. So I also agree with you. Having Saturn games is super awesome. You don't see that a lot. You guys also have a CDI game. You have Hotel Mario on here. I mean, this list is as retro as it gets. Honestly, it's very expansive, wide ranging, I would say.
Now we actually have two CDI games. One's later down the list, not to spoil anything, but man, is that CDI game a gem?
Thunder in Paradise. I don't even know what that is, so now I know it's got to be a gem if I don't know what it is.
It has a questionable character, but it's based off of, as Enemy put it, I think what was the helicopter TV show?
Airwolf?
A million years ago. Airwolf, yes.
All right, that's your next shred. Airwolf.
Pay me. Yeah, I can't do it. Just pay me.
How much money you want?
It's 75 right now, but if you know, for you,
I get the podcast discount.
You get the podcast discount.
Yeah, but Airwolf with boats and also Hulk Hogan. So even though
That's
Hulk
amazing.
Hogan's kind of...
Are you
I'm
serious?
That's amazing. I'm sold. I'm in.
I'm setting a phone alarm and watching that. That sounds incredible. How could I not know about this? I'm having been watching the chat. I hope no one asked a question because I haven't been watching it for quite a long time, and there was a lot of chat.
No one added us.
Okay,
I've
cool.
been watching.
Okay, you've been being a better podcaster than me.
Well,
And it's been incredible. Anything else you want to add to it? Thank you for having us on. Thank you to all the chats. Thank you to all the staff that's helped me. You guys have been awesome. Happy to do more of these. We'll promote that out. We did send out some social medias to Discord, etc., etc., etc. We have the little paperboy graphic, which I found amusing myself because I made it, so I'm amused. But very enjoyable time. Everyone was so nice to us. Not one mean person.
Yeah, I don't think we could have had a better experience. So we wouldn't really know what to expect here. We've never done this live with a chat. So thanks for making it cool, guys.
Yeah, thank you both for, approaching us, and I'm super excited and super honored to have you guys do this podcast on RGL. I want to, the entire admin team wants to see more of that. We want, it. Our goal is to put on amazing shows, period, all the time. But if we can get amazing shows that the community puts together, so much the better. So again, I push for it. I ask you, audience, if you have things that you want to show, if you have marathons, races, whatever, reach out to me. I'm on Discord. I don't bite. I'm a friendly guy, and I want to, the entirety of RGL TV staff wants to showcase our community because our community is the greatest. And I'm super excited for Retrothon. It is going to be a fantastic 8 days, exhausting 8 days for us on the back end, but it will be a fantastic 8-day period, and I can't wait to watch those runs.
I would hardly call our show amazing, but I'm glad that you think so. I appreciate the kind words. We hope that this format maybe fits a little better. We can interact with the community more, and that's what we really wanted in the first place. And so having this many people live with us is very new to us, and I did not expect this kind of reception. So hopefully we can keep growing that, and we'll have more topics that talk about more in-depth speedrunning knowledge things. But you can always check our backlog. Lots of interesting information there about all kinds of speedrun topics. And
Lots of cool guests.
Lots of cool guests, yeah.
Lots of guests.
We are going to be getting some guests.
We'll be having guests, yeah.
Scheduling is very tough at the moment. So, if you want a particular guest, send all your requests to Anthole. He will do all the guest scheduling for us.
You know, I'm on board. That sounds great.
I guess that's it.
Oh, thank you, Bedwa.
Right?
Yeah, I guess that's it. We're going to close it up. We're at almost 2 hours here. We're going to have to edit a lot of audio to get it into the podcast form when we do cut this out. So thank you very much. Last time, please go to HagensAlley.com, buy this book. Go to my website, 8bitsteve.com, buy this. It's going to sell out. We don't have that many left. I want you to have one. This is hardcover. Probably not going to make hardcovers. And then this is going live soon. Fester's Quest plus a Punch-Out book going live on a website that will be announced, easywayguides.com. It's coming very, very soon. Please buy my stuff so that I can continue to make guides like this for every NES game. That's my goal in my life, to have one of these for every NES game at some point. So your support will help me get there.
Yeah.
Go watch Ian try to break the Ninja Gaiden World Record. Go to his Twitch.
Follow both of us. Follow both of us, 8-Bit Steve and I, on our socials and stuff. And yeah, if you want to see someone repeatedly fail to break an impossible world record, you're welcome to come hang out with me on my channel. But that's not the only thing we do. We talk about tons of dumb stuff. We have a good time. We laugh. If you like any of that stuff, you're more than welcome to hang out with us. And have a good time.
All right, guys. That's all the time we have for today. I still don't have a great outro, but knowledge of speed, the retro runner. Pew. That's all I got. You got anything else?
All
right, let's we can cut it. We can cut it out.
We'll put that in.
Okay.
Edit and post.
Let's find someone to raid here. Go ahead and Ian, if you want to message me suggestions for raids, we'll bring the podcast. We'll bring the podcast into somebody cool.
To the people.
Bring
it to the people. I think I remember. Let's see if he is still on. The Wolf.
Ah, that guy?
The Wolf.
Oh, we're going to send you over to somebody awesome. Yeah. We had this gentleman on our podcast. When we had him on, he had just broken the Castlevania World Record, and he had taken it from JC, who was also on our podcast. He's an awesome guy, and he's from Italy, I believe. And he's an amazing dude. Go watch his stuff. We're going to send you over there right now. We're going to raid SBD Wolf right now. I'm going to try to. I think it'll work. Say hi, put your RGLs in there, get your Ian emotes if you have it. If you have my No Mercy emote, put that in there. Let's go.
Trophy Shreds, Trophy Squeeze, your No Mercies, your RGLs. Bye.
Looks like I can't do that. But someone in the chat can. Hold on a second. And I forgot to turn Ian's camera off. Boom. They are sending the raid over, guys. We'll see you next week.